Envision yourself, or perhaps even your child or future child, in this situation. You begin elementary school, exiting the school bus clad in mismatched clothes, born ignorant to the whims and norms of society and of your peers, and as a result, being endlessly excluded, harassed, taunted, even physically attacked by your peers. Yet possessing no ideas as to why this is occurring or even how to react. If you haven't deduced it by this point, this is the reality faced by the millions of people who knowingly or unknowingly suffer from Asperger's syndrome. For those unfamiliar with the disorder, Asperger's syndrome, or ASD, is a high-functioning subtype of autism lying upon the autism spectrum disorder that significantly increases proficiency and intelligence in one general subject area, but severely inhibits social skills, mental stamina, and language development, and as a result often marks them as soft targets for bullying, discrimination, and false stereotypes. Stereotypes often perpetrated by those with poor understanding of the disorder or what an ASD patient looks or acts like. Thus, advances must be made to increase awareness in both potential subjects and perpetrators of the symptoms and circumstances so that this senseless torment may cease, as well as so that testing and accommodations can be obtained for subjects. This perspective will be elaborated upon by explaining how widespread the disorder is, which groups are most at risk, and why the plight of Aspies should concern you. The first and most crucial step in surveying any problem is deducing how widespread it currently is overall. Utilizing studies conducted by the Center for Disease Control, the World Autism Society concluded that of the 7.4 billion people inhabiting the Earth, a total 1% of the population has ASD. In addition, a total of 3.5 million Americans out of 318.9 million are diagnosed with ASD today, which has only increased by 119.4% in U.S. children from 2000 to 2010, marking it as the fastest growing developmental disorder in the country. To put this in perspective, about 1 in every 68 American children has been identified with ASD. And of these millions of children, over 94% of them reported bullying in school. In addition, in a study conducted by Dr. Sarah Cassidy of the Autism Research Center at the University of Cambridge that surveyed 256 men and 118 women diagnosed with ASD, 66% of the subjects reported having suicidal thoughts, 35% planned or attempted suicide, and 31% experienced depression. From the millions of aforementioned people living with ASD, as well as the countless family and friends affected directly as a result, you may ponder as to who truly bears the brunt more so than others, who truly is impacted the most. ASD does not discriminate. It appears in use of all genders, races, cultures, and social classes. However, according to the CDC, the disorder is 4.5 times more common in males as opposed to females. However, a different problem and target group altogether arises in ASD patients who either receive a diagnosis later in life during their teens or never receive a diagnosis altogether. This is unfortunate, as the disease cannot be cured. However, according to Autism Speaks, a psychologist-prescribed diagnosis can alleviate the distress of ASD, allowing the patient to gain knowledge about the disorder and even receive access to school accommodations and group therapy sessions that help develop social skills and overall comfort. And at last, we arrived at the question that most likely occupies your mind at this present moment. Why should I care? Take a look at this PowerPoint slide. Survey all of these people. Do any of their faces look familiar? If they happen to resonate with you, it's most likely because they can constitute a vast majority of the greatest, most innovative, and world-renowned minds in the history of math, science, business, politics, film, and music. And do you know what all of these men share in common? They were all either diagnosed or believed, based on modern standards, to have had Asperger's syndrome. The bullying and self-loathing experienced by the many youths with ASD carries with it the capacity to cause them to fear for their safety or absolutely annihilate any self-confidence they may possess, and stall any desire they may have to continue their school or work career. After all, Autism Speaks concluded that 35% never pursue a job or education after high school, and that only 19.3% of ASD patients participate in the labor force. When an ASD patient is bullied into submission or even suicide, that is what is at stake, the future of tomorrow, and that is why you should be concerned. Now that all has been said and done regarding the facts and statistics of the disorder, I ask that you remember the various signs and symptoms. I ask that you remember the millions diagnosed. Remember the dangerously high levels of bullying and suicide. Remember the brilliant minds that lay within that seemingly strange and fragile person, and the fact that diagnosis rates are only increasing. I hope that I have managed to enlighten you, and that you may take these facts into account and lend a more sympathetic attitude to those you may stereotype as a nerd or a school shooter, to those with ASD, to those who live and struggle with the symptoms every single day of their lives.